Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So, over the past couple of weeks, I published different videos. I published them on my YouTube page, and Sajid, Allah yahfadhu, he published them on the Institute YouTube page. So, and these videos were dealing with the memorization of Hadith and the memorization of the books of Tawheed, the Matun, the small Matun, and what the person should memorize, and like how the person should do at Tadarruj and start to progress through the different books. So, and of course, the question that kept coming up was people making a comment about, don't forget the Quran, don't forget the Quran, don't forget, we still need to memorize the Quran. And of course, this is obviously is very, 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 very important. And because I was making those videos with the understanding either, number one, the person has already memorized the Quran, or number two, the person will be memorizing the Quran while he or she is memorizing and studying these books. So that being said, let me just reiterate that point. Number one, the Quran is the most important book, that a person can memorize. Obviously, it's the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is the religion of Islam. So everything that we have, the basis of it, it comes from the Quran and then through the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the Quran is the main, that is the book of Allah, it's the speech of Allah. And there's nothing better that you could fill your heart with than the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is where, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentioned that in the Quran, where he said, بَلْ هِيَ آيَاتٌ بَيِّنَاتٌ فِي صُدُورِ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ. So I mean, obviously, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that these are ayat, bayyinat, like these are clear verses, فِي صُدُورِ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed them in the chests and the hearts of the people that he's given knowledge to. So we definitely want to be from amongst those people. No doubt. So memorizing the Quran is definitely one of the most important things that a person can do. Now, with that being said, that we have another issue. Like, okay, number one, a person who's getting started studying in the Talib al-Ilm. Now, especially a person who is older. Because as you get older, you have to kind of get to like a lot of the most important things of knowledge, try to practice your religion faster. You have, because you have a lot less time than a younger person has. A younger person who's free, they have a lot more free time, and they can sit down and they can just spend 2 years memorizing the Quran, and that's it, and then they can start getting started on the Arabic language and things like that. That's fine. But like, especially with older people, like especially when we go out to study, we don't, to sit down and maybe we only have, let's say 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever you have to try to get the amount of knowledge that you can get. It's kind of hard to just focus only on memorization of the Quran at that time, because if I come back to America, the people don't need me to, as a half of a Quran. We have plenty of those people, and most of them don't have knowledge anyways. But we have plenty of the people like that. But we don't have people that have knowledge. So even when we were in the match, I remember when the Sheikh told us one time in the lesson, and he told us, like, as far as the people like spending all the time trying to memorize the Quran, he said, do that when you go back to your people. He said, when you go back to your people and you give a dawah, you have that time to sit in the masjid and you can start memorizing the Quran. But he said, while you're in the match, while you're here, try to get as much knowledge as possible. Try to get as much knowledge as possible. Try to get the durus, get the lessons, and try to like get all because that's what the people need. The people need to, somebody that can go back to them and teach them and answer their questions. Like if they have questions in fiqh, if they have questions in, in aqidah and tawheed and things like that, they need people that can answer these questions for them. They need people that are well-grounded in the knowledge of Hadith, people that are well-grounded in the knowledge of Usul al-Fiqh, people that are well-grounded and well-read in tafsir, and just in Hadith general, being very familiar with the different Hadith and what the ulama say about the Hadith and the Masail and things like that we take from the Hadith and the Qawa'id. So this is very, very, very important. And this is, if the person's older, this is how he should spend his time, trying to get that knowledge, especially if he's in a setting of Talib al-Ilm. Because we don't have that much time. And when we're older, we have to go get it, because obviously we go back to America, we're working, we're taking care of families and things like that. So now the whole point is trying to strike a balance of like, okay, you have to memorize Hadith. And this is the issue that the people, like, they go back and forth. If you have the time to sit down and just focus only on the Quran, that's the best thing to do. No doubt. That's the best thing to do. But this is like something that I tried to, come to grips with, because I wanted to finish memorizing the Quran when I was in the match. All right, when the Sheikh gave us that advice, that's all I was doing. I was memorizing the Quran and I was studying the Arabic language. I wasn't doing anything else. I wasn't memorizing all these matun and all this type of stuff. But when the Sheikh gave us that advice, I started to change my things. Like, he's right. He's right. You know, we really need to focus on trying to get the knowledge. So I started, like, I would still memorize. I didn't stop memorizing the Quran, but you know, and I never stopped reading it. So you constantly got to keep reading the Quran, reading the Quran. Even if you're not memorizing, you should always be reading the Quran. Read 1 juz a day, 2 juz a day, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever your capabilities are. I mean, honestly, for me, I wouldn't advise a person, especially a student of knowledge, to ever like read less than 3 juz a day. 3 ajazat every single day. That's like as far as a student of knowledge. If you're not a student of knowledge, you're just trying to get familiar with the Quran. Read a juz a day, read 2 juz a day, whatever your capabilities are. So what I started to do is that I would spend time memorizing the matun, and I go back and memorize the Quran, and then spend time memorizing. So I would always try to like focus on trying to get the metan that I was trying to study, and this carried on even through like Sana'a and when I was in Saudi. Same thing. In Saudi, I was more focused on trying to memorize a Hadith, trying to get Bulugh al-Maram and things like that. So the thing is that you know you have to strike this balance. And this is what this video is going to try. This is what I'm going to attempt to do through this video, is try to give the people some type of schedule that they could use to focus, you know, to like, you know, balance between memorization of the Quran and also memorization of the things that the people want, that you need as far as hadith, you know, because you need a hadith, you need like ahkam al-tahara, ahkam al-salat, ahkam, you know, zakat, som, hajj, and all these types of hadith. You need them. There's no doubt. I mean, it's very important. Bulugh al-Maram is a very important book for students to memorize. And after the Quran, it's probably the most important book for a beginning student to memorize, is Bulugh al-Maram. Because by taking Bulugh al-Maram now, look how much of the fiqh of the religion that you have now. That you can go out and like, look how many questions like people ask you and you're able to answer them if you really studied Bulugh al-Maram and you truly understood it. And especially if you memorize it. You memorized it, you studied it, you understood it, you went and you read the different shuruh, as you see like the different shuruh behind me. So all of these, you know, this is what is going to help you to excel in that and to become a person that people can, you know, come back to and ask at least the basic questions. At least the basic questions. So the type of schedule that I came up with, and you know, in this way that you constantly memorize the Quran, and keep in mind, like I said, when you're not memorizing the Quran, you're reading the Quran in its entirety, from Surah Al-Fatiha to Surah Al-Nas. You understand? So you try to find like what you can read on a daily basis, and what you're trying to like what you memorize. So like what I would try to do is I would try to take it and you know, like you have 1/6 of the Quran, which is 5, breaking it up into 5 juz, 5 juz, 5 juz, 5 juz, 5 juz. So what I would do is I would take the last 5 juz. Okay, so this is going to be from let's see, around Surah Al-Muhammad, or maybe Surah Al-Ahqaf. It depends on what you want to do, because you can start from Surah Al-Muhammad, you can start from Surah Al-Ahqaf. All right, and then you go from there to Surah Al-Nas. Now you want to break this up over like maybe a period of 3 days, where you read these surah over and over. Now this is why you're memorizing the Quran, okay? Also, like what you can do is break it up into like instead of breaking up into the 6 like 5 juz, you can break it up into 5 parts, which is 6 juz, 6 juz, 6 juz. And this way, what you do is you read 2 juz every single day. And this is whether you're reading the whole Mus'haf or you're just reading what you're trying to memorize. So now here, from this time, you're going to go from Surah Al-Fusilat, and then you're going to go from Surah Al-Fusilat, and you're going to go all the way down to Surah Al-Nas. Alright, so from Surah Al-Fusilat to Surah Al-Nas, you read 2 juz every single day for 3 days. And then you repeat, then you repeat, then you repeat. And you just keep repeating this over and over and over and over again. Now, this is what you're doing while you're memorizing. So you start from like, let's say, you start from Surah Al-Nas, and you start moving down. And if you've already memorized Juz Amma, then you go to Juz Tabarak. If you already memorized Juz Tabarak, go to Juz called Sami'. If you already memorized Juz called Sami', then go to Juz Dhariyat, and so on and so forth. They just keep moving down until you've gotten all the way down. And once you've gotten like to the halfway point of like between Surah Al-Fusilat and Surah Al-Nas, you want to start to add on. So what I would generally do is I would add on like a 4th day and start reading 8 juz. So now you're going to go from like about Surah Al-Yasin, somewhere around there, from like Surah Al-Yasin, and you know, go all the way to, even though Surah Al-Yasin is kind of like 7.5 juz, but like, let's just say that, you know, because they have this, you know, they actually printed out, it's called Rubu' Yasin. Then you can read that 2 juz every day for like 4 days, and you finish that every 4 days. And then you start to increase. So then you know, so you go from 6 juz, then you go to 12 juz, then you go to 18 juz, and then you go to 24, and then you go to 30. So you're breaking up into 6 parts. And eventually you want to get to the point where you're reading 6 days. So you're going to read, like, for example, 2 Jews every 6 days. That will be 12 Jews. Then you want to start adding on to that 2.5 Jews every 6 days. That means it's going to be 15. And then you want to go to 3 Jews every day. Then it becomes 18. And then, so once you get to that 6-day period, you're not going to add on another day. 6 is the cutoff point. And you're going to keep increasing the amount that you're reading over time. So eventually you're going to get to the point where you're reading 5 Jews every day. 6 days, you're reading the whole Mus'haf every 6 days. Whether you're memorizing or whether you're just reading. Alright, so now we understand that. The act of memorization is based on the person. So if you want to memorize, like, for example, like what I used to do is I would just take, like, for example, Surah Al-Fusilat, take the first page, and I would just read it, and 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 just read it. And I have like a little, what I used to do in Damaj, I didn't have the little clicker thing that I use here. But what I did in Damaj is I took, the people that have those little, the dhikr beads, or we used to call bid'ah beads back in the days, So I used to take them, I'll break them. And I had like a board, like a little 2x4. I put nails on the 2 ends, and I put a string, and I put like 50 beads onto a string, and then I would just move them over as I was reading. So the whole goal was to read like 50 after Fajr, 50 after Dhuhr, 50 after Asr, and 50 before I go to bed. And then come back the next day and do that again. So I would try to, until I got to 500. But it got to the point where, I was doing that in the beginning 500 times, but then I started to lower it to like 300 because, like I said, as a student of knowledge, you have other things to do. And I still wanted to give time to the Qur'an, and I still wanted to finish the Qur'an, but I didn't want to, like, at the same time, I still got to get knowledge. I'm in a place of, a place that I'm not going to, and I never did. Allah Mustaan, Allah didn't write me to be able to go back to Damaj. So once you have that type of opportunity, you have to make the best of it. You have to make the best of it. You have to get as much as you can from that place. And even if that means postponing the memorization of the Quran, you have to do it. Because you're sitting here with a sheikh from Ahl Sunnah, and he's teaching you hadith every single day. And then you have all these students that done all this research and written these books, and you want to benefit from them. And you might never get this opportunity again. So you have to utilize your time there. So I started lowering it to like 250, 300 times. Some sort of, it depends, because some things, like when you're reading the Mus'haf over and over and over again, there's certain surahs that they just click. They start to click, and you get them very easily. So, like, for example, when I was memorizing Surah Al-Baqarah, I read every single page of Surah Al-Baqarah 500 times. But when I got to Surah Ali Imran, I was reading like 20, 30 times, and it was stuck in my head. But I would still read like at least 200 times just to make sure I have it. But I would read Surah Ali Imran every single day, every single day, every single day. And that's another thing. You have the 2 Jews that you're reading on a daily basis, but then you have like the 1 Jews that you're focusing on. You want to read that every night, the whole Jews. Read that every single night, whether you're memorizing or whether you're not memorizing. If you're not memorizing, then you want to do 2, like 1 this day, 1 this night, 1 that night. What you're planning to memorize once you go back to memorization. That way it's already in your head. You've already read it a lot. So, and this is what the schedule is going to look like. So if we look at it like the Islamic calendar, we have 12 months, obviously. 12 months are the same as the Islamic and non-Islamic calendar. But we have Ramadan. So Ramadan, you're not going to be doing any memorization. You're not probably going to be doing much studying. All you're going to be doing in Ramadan is focusing on the reading of the Quran. So everything stops in Ramadan. Everything stops. Even reading Hadith, read Hadith. But just keep it to a minimum. You want to focus on the Quran in Ramadan. So nothing is going to get memorized in Ramadan. Forget that. So now you got 11 months left in the year. Okay, so 11 months from Ramadan, from Shawwal to Sha'ban, basically. So that's it. So this is what you're focusing on, right? So now, what you want to do now, you're going to take those 11 months out of the year, and you want to split them up. So let's say that you want to memorize the Quran, but you also want to memorize Bulugh al-Maram. So what do? You look at it like, okay, what's the most important thing to you, right? Okay, obviously the Book of Allah is the most important, because we have odd number of months. We got 11 months. So that means that 1 month is going to be, we're going to have one that's going to be more and one that's less. And the Quran is always going to be more. So if you're trying to memorize the Quran, so now you have 2 choices. You can either take 6 months focusing on only the memorization of the Quran, and 5 months focusing only on the memorization of Bulugh al-Maram, or you can do like a 7-4 split. You can do an 8-3 split. That's your business. You make that decision for yourself. Me personally, I like the 6-5 split. I like to do like 6 months for the Quran and 5 months memorizing Hadith. And like I said, the time that you're memorizing the Quran, You take Bulugh al-Maram and you're reading it and you're reading it and you're reading it over and over and over and over and over again. And then when you get to the memorization, the month that you're doing, like for example, let's say that you memorize the Quran for like 3 months straight, because you need time. It can't be like 1 month this, 1 month that, 1 month. You need time. Like you need to like give like the Quran like 3 months. All right, and then you memorize Bulugh al-Maram for like 2 months or 3 months straight, because you need to do that, because that builds up that strength and that momentum. And then by the 3 month period, you're kind of starting to get like you know, you might be getting tired and like, okay, I need a change, I need to do something else, because you just memorize it Quran. So when you switch over to the Hadith, it's something new. So it starts to revitalize you, and then you spend like 2 or 3 months memorizing Hadith. So what I would say is, like, for example, like you memorize 3 months the Quran, 3 months Hadith, 3 months the Quran, 2 months Hadith. So now you got 6 months, 5 months. Okay, that's easy, right? So, and then this way you're constantly, like I said, you got 3 months. You focus on, okay, now you set the goals of like, what are you going to try to achieve in that 3 months? What are you trying to memorize? How much, and you look at yourself. Like I said, this is a decision that you have to make for yourself. You have to look at your capabilities, your time, and what you have, like the time that you have available and how much you can dedicate. Because if you can only, like, if you could take a page of the Quran and you can only read it like, let's say 50 times a day, you might be only memorizing a page. Because I'm telling you, for me personally, I would not, even if I memorize the page within 50 times, I would still read it 200 times, at least. But my advice is to try to push it for 300. So if you're, like, for example, so let's say that, let's say 200 though. We'll keep it at 200, because this way it, a little balance. Some people have stronger memories, it sticks better, but you still need to, get it in that long-term memory. So you try to like set your goal to memorize like a page every three days. Every 3 days, because I mean, this is for the working person. Now the person who's free, they could take a page a day. Khalas, you can sit down and you can read the page 200 times in 1 day. Alhamdulillah, yeah, it's a ni'mah, and do that. But for the person that's working, he can only read like maybe 60 to 80 times a day. Yes, 80 times he can read that page a day. So let's say every 3 days. Every 3 days you're memorizing a page. Over the period of of a month, you memorize 10 pages. Over the period of 2 months, you memorize the juz. Over the period of the 3 months, you memorize a juz and a half. So that's your goal. Over the 3 month period of memorizing the Quran, to memorize a juz and a half. All right? And that's what you're going to read every single day. You're going to read that juz with this. So like if you're trying to memorize juz amma, so you read juz amma and juz tabarak from, like, let's say about surah al-jinn, surah al-nuh, about that. You read from surah al-nuh, surah al-jinn. It's up to you whichever one you want. That's about the halfway point of juz tabarak. And then you go all the way to Surah An-Nas, and you read that every single night. Or you can break it up in half, read half of it one night, half of the next night, whatever, based on your capabilities. Me personally, and it also depends on the amount of time that you have. What I did in Damaj and what I do here are 2 different things, because of the time restraints. And Damaj was free. I could, like, some nights I would sit in the masjid and read, 10 juz in the masjid at night. I don't have nothing to do. What am I got no job tomorrow. All I'm doing is studying. So that's all we were doing. So we could do stuff like that. But, now you have to look at the restraints that you have. You have family, you have job, whatever. So try to, like, see how you do it. And every single day, you need to take Bulugh al-Maram, if this is what you're memorizing. And whatever I'm going to say about Bulugh al-Maram, you could do it with whatever book that you want to memorize. Kitab al-Tawheed, Bulugh al-Maram, Riyadh al-Salihin, Lu'lu' al-Marjan. Whatever book that you're trying to memorize, you can utilize the same schedule. Everything. What I used to do is I used to break the book down. I looked at it like, how long does it take me to read 1 juz of the Quran, based, like, just reading in a medium type of qira'ah. Not trying to, like, musra' and not, murattal jiddan, but just a smooth qira'ah. It takes between 25 to 30 minutes. So I said, okay, look, let's just say 30 minutes. All right, because while you're reading, you're taking sips of water or tea or whatever you're drinking. So it ends up being about, let's say, 30 minutes. So what I did is I took Bulugh al-Maram and I read through all the Bulugh al-Maram, breaking it down into 30-minute parts. 30-minute parts. And I think it came up to about like 12 and a half, something like that. All of Bulugh al-Maram, it's like about 12 and a half parts of 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. Then I took those 30 minutes and broke them down into 15-minute parts. So you can break them down to 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, as you like. But I broke them down into halves. So 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes. So it came up to about like, I'd say about 26, 27 parts. All together. From going from Kitab al-Tahara to Kitab al-Jami'. and which is the last book in Bulugh al-Maram. All right, to the last hadith. So going from here to here, it comes out to about 27 parts of 15 minutes each. So what I would do is I would take that and then read that 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. So you're finishing all of Bulugh al-Maram in it's about 12 and a half days, you know, something like that. You can read a little bit more if you want to finish early, because I have what I did is I kept different, because the Bulugh al-Maram I have 5 different copies of it. And I took each one and I read it all and broke it down into different time periods. So I took the first one I did it was 30 minutes. Because like I said, it's about the time that it takes to read a juz of the Quran. So I said, I'm going to break these down into the parts, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, like this, with the same amount of time that it takes to read the Quran. What I did with the second one, I said, okay, I looked at it and I was like, okay, it's kind of, 12 and a half. I want to get it down to 10 days. So how much time would it take for me to read each part so I can finish it in 10 days, right? So at this point, then I took it and I read it in, it was 35-minute parts. Because you take the time, you look at it, it's 30 minutes, it's 12 and a half hours. So you look at the amount of time that it would take and now you say, okay, now you do this as a 10 days. How long? So I came up with it's like 35, 36 minutes. And I did that. So I read it basically 35, 36 minutes apart and finished all of Bulugh al-Maram in 10 days. And then broke that up into halves and halves and halves. So like 17 and a half minutes, 17 and a half minutes, 17 and a half, and went all the way through Bulugh al-Maram like that again with halves. And then, I had another one that was broken down into 25 minutes. One that was broken down into 20 minutes. But for me personally, it depends on the book. I want to finish the book in 10 days, at least. I want to be able to read all of Bulugh al-Maram in 10 days if I'm reading one part a day. One part a day, one part a day. So that's it. Because if I'm going to be reading like 3 juz a day of the Quran, then that means that I can finish the Quran in 10 days. The whole Mus'haf in 10 days. So I want to be able to do the same thing with Bulugh al-Maram, because I want them to be running like in the same type of consistency. I don't want to be reading Bulugh al-Maram in 12 days and then the Quran in 10 days. I want to be able to sit down and read the Quran from Surah Al-Fatiha to Surah Al-Nas and read Bulugh al-Maram from Kitab al-Tahara to Kitab al-Jami' and finish them both on the same day. So that's why I did what I did. So, but it's to each his own, right? So, like I said, each person, they can do whatever they want to do. So while let's take the 10-day, the 35-minute part one, and I would sit there and I read this over and over and over every 10 days. So every 10 days, you're reading all of Bulugh al-Maram. Why for the 3 months that you're memorizing the Quran, you're just reading Bulugh al-Maram, reading Bulugh al-Maram. Now, you take certain sections that you plan to memorize. Like for example, like let's say that you're going to memorize Kitab al-Tahara. So break Kitab al-Tahara up into two parts. Because Kitab al-Tahara takes about 28 minutes to read. So you break it up 14 minutes, 14 minutes. You read half of it today, half of it tomorrow. Half of it today, half of it tomorrow. And you just do that while you're reading Bulugh al-Maram. And you do that for the whole time that you're memorizing the Quran for those 3 months. Now, when you're done memorizing the Quran and for those 3 months, now the 3 months that you have for memorizing Hadith, like the first thing, you got to finish Kitab al-Tahara. Now, keep in mind, you've read Kitab al-Tahara every 2 days, every 2 days, every 2 days, right? So it's stuck in your head. A lot of the Hadith you'll be reading from memory by the time it's time to memorize. So now you got the 3 months of memorizing Hadith. You want to focus now on just like knocking out Kitab al-Tahara, at least. Obviously, you shouldn't be too difficult in 3 months, and you should be able to knock out Kitab al-Tahara and a good portion of like at least the beginning part of Kitab al-Salat. So that's it. Now, while you're doing the Kitab al-Tahara, you want to take the Quran and do the same thing. Like I said, it takes 35-minute parts. Finish Bulugh al-Maram every 10 days. So I've been reading Bulugh al-Maram every 10 days for 3 months. I haven't been memorizing Hadith. All I've been doing is reading for 3 months. So that's 90 days. 90 days every 10 days. So that means that I've read Bulugh al-Maram 9 times over that period of time that I was memorizing the Quran. 9 times I finished Bulugh al-Maram. Now you're going to do the same thing with the Quran. Now you're going to take 3 juz a day. You're going to read those 3 juz over and over and over again. The first juz that you want to memorize when you finish memorizing Bulugh al-Maram, you want to take that juz, split it in half, and read that every night. Half tonight, half tonight, half tonight, half tomorrow, half tonight, half tomorrow, like this. And you do that for the whole period of 3 months that you're memorizing Bulugh al-Maram. So when you go back to memorizing the Quran, that's stuck in your head. Like you'll knock that out quickly, inshallah. And you just keep doing this, and you keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you got 3 months of the Quran, 3 months of Bulugh al-Maram, 3 months of the Quran, and then 2 months of Bulugh al-Maram. So over the period of this 11-month period, you're going to you have 3 months that you read, that you're just reading the Quran, and 2 months that you're just reading the Quran. So those 3 months is 90 days. You finish the Quran 9 times, inshallah. And then the next period is 60 days, and you finish the Quran 6 times. So that's 15 times. Now you want to make your goal in Ramadan to at least read the Quran 5 times in Ramadan, at least 5 times. So that's 5 juz every day during Ramadan. You might have to read a little bit extra just in case Ramadan is 29 days, because you don't want to be like on the last night. I mean, if you have to, whatever, the last day of Ramadan, just read 10 juz and then knock it out. Go ahead and finish it, so that way you have no doubt, inshallah. But you want to at least finish the Quran 5 times. And this way you finish the Quran 20 times completely throughout that year. Now you do this for 3-4 years. Imagine this now. 3-4 years. 5 years. Okay? Over a 5-year period, you've read the Quran 100 times. 100 times you've read the Quran from beginning to end. But at the same time, you've also increased the amount that you're reading on a regular basis, the time that you're memorizing the Quran, because you started with 6 juz, then you go to 12 juz. But the way that like I said, the way that you want to do it is you want to go from 6 to 9 to 12. 12 to 15 to 18. 18 to 21 to 24. 24 to 27 to 30. You want to break it up into like the halves, so you want to go like, 1/5, then go to like a half, and then the second fifth, then go to a half, and then keep increasing as you get like halfway. Because once you memorize, like I said, you're going from Surah Fusilat down all the way up to Surah Nas. The halfway point is once you finish memorizing juz called Sami'. Once you've memorized juz called Sami', you memorize 3 juz, which is the halfway point to Fusilat. So at that point now you want to increase the 6 juz to 9 juz that you're reading. So now instead of reading every 3 days, you're going to have to read every 4 days, and you're going to be reading a little bit more. So you're going to be reading, instead of 2 juz every day, you're going to read 2 juz and a quarter, every single day. So it's going to be like 40, 43, 44 pages. So whatever, okay, you figure it out, inshallah, how you want to do it. And then you go from the 9 to the 12. So as you're approaching, and once you've completed the 6 juz, once you've now gotten to the end of Fusilat, now you add on that other third, the other half of that part, the second fifth, and now you go to 12 juz. And you read the 12 juz. You can do that over a 5-day period. You can start increasing the days. So now 5 days, you read 12 juz. 12 juz over 5 days, the same thing. It's like it's gonna be like what, 2.4 juz a day. So almost 2.5 juz a day, give or take. A little bit less. So you're gonna basically be reading about 48, 49 pages every single day. It's still, alhamdulillah, it's manageable. And as you're increasing though, it starts to become easier. It starts to become a lot easier. So, and you just keep, you keep expanding this until eventually now you finish the Quran and you finish Bulugh al-Maram. You read the Quran 100 times, you read Bulugh al-Maram, and you're going to read Bulugh al-Maram more than you're going to read the Quran, because you're spending more time on the memorization of the Quran. So just like, the 3 months, you're going to read 9 times. Well, actually, no, you're going to read the Bulugh al-Maram less, because you're not going to be reading Bulugh al-Maram in Ramadan. But you can read it, but just read it less. Read it like maybe 2 times. In Ramadan, try to finish it twice in Ramadan, just to like finish 20 times. So now you've read Bulugh al-Maram 20 times, and you read the Quran 20 times, because you're going to read the Bulugh al-Maram 18 times over this period of time, because you're going to spend 3 months with the Quran, 3 months with the Quran. With the Quran, you're going to be spending with the Hadith, you spend 3 months to 2 months. So in the Quran, you're going to read you read more in Ramadan. You're going to read 15 times here, 5 times in Ramadan. That's 20. With the Bulugh al-Maram, you're going to read 18 times here, and try to read like 2 times in Ramadan. Just like, read 5 juz, and then read one part of the Bulugh al-Maram, the little 30 minutes a day. You can just read 30 minutes a day of Bulugh al-Maram, and you finish Bulugh al-Maram twice in Ramadan. And there you got 20-20. So over a 5-year period, you read the Quran 100 times, you read Bulugh al-Maram 100 times. That stuff is stuck in your head. It is stuck in your head. See, the whole thing about seeking knowledge, and especially with memorization, is just keep doing the same thing over and over. You have to have the discipline to sit down and force yourself to do this over and over. And on the period, during this period that you're doing this, don't just focus on memorization. Sit down and take the tafsir. Read Tafsir al-Sa'di. Read Tafsir al-Baghawi. Read Tafsir al-Ibn Kathir. Read Tafsir al-Shawkani, which is Fath al-Qadir. Read the different tafsir. Read Adwa al-Bayan al-Shinqiti rahimahullah. And read that so you get an understanding of the Quran while you're memorizing it. And with Bulugh al-Maram, the same thing. You want to take Tawdih al-Ahkam, the Sheikh Abdullah Ali Bassam, which is right there behind me, this one. You want to take also like Subul al-Salam, which is I think Subul al-Salam, I took it down because I needed it for something, so it's not up here. That's the empty parts. You want to read like Subul al-Salam up there in the top part. That's Fath al-Alam, which is 5 juz. You want to read Zad al-Ma'ad because it'll also help you to understand Bulugh al-Maram, believe it or not. Nail al-Awtar, which is that book. You want to read that after you've read all these different shuruh. Sayl al-Jarar, which is by Shawkani. Read that. Read every single book that's going to help you to understand Bulugh al-Maram. And you do that over a 5-year period, akhi. You might not be finished with both of them, but once you hit that 5-year mark, it's just going to be smooth. After like two years, I guarantee you, after 2 years of doing this, I promise you, especially with a lot of dua, because that's the most important thing. The ikhlas, the taqwa, the dua. You have to constantly make dua, because I'm telling you, you're not going to do anything without the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't care what your intellectual capacity is, how strong your memory is. If Allah does not give you the tawfiq, you're not getting anything done. Forget about it. You're not going to, if you don't have the tawfiq, doesn't matter. I've seen like me, where my memory was the slowest memory. I had so much trouble trying to memorize. Memorize the Qur'an is a struggle. Memorizing Hadith was a struggle. But Allah blessed me when especially in my younger days of Taliban, to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. It took me 7 days to memorize 1 page of the Quran. One page. And I finished all of Surah Al-Baqarah. I started off reading 1 page, 7 days. Like I told you, 500 times. I would read it over a 7-day period. And then eventually, there were like some pages I'd have trouble with. I read 700 times, or close to 1,000 times, just to get it. And I was reading Surah Al-Baqarah every day. Every day. Every single day I was reading Surah Al-Baqarah, or like at least half of it every day, and then alhamdulillah, as I progressed, it started going down to like 5 days, 4 days. And like I said, by the time I got to like Surah Ali Imran, I could take a page and finish it in 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, I can memorize the page. But I have to keep, reading it throughout the day. But alhamdulillah, I memorized Ali Imran, I just zipped through it. Even when I was memorizing Surah An-Nisa, also not as easy as Ali Imran, obviously, but I didn't have the trouble that I had with Surah Al-Baqarah. So the thing is, it's just dua. You got to keep being consistent, and just keep going. Because it's a non-stop process. And even after you memorize, it's not done. You have to constantly keep that same schedule of revision. So you don't want to go like a week after you memorize the Quran. You want to finish the whole Mus'haf every week, at least every week. If you could still continue that five juz a day, every 6 days, that's ideal. That's ideal. And then when Ramadan comes, you double it. When Ramadan comes, you read the Quran every 3 days. You read 10 juz a day at the very least. This is after, and you should try to do this also if you have the free time in Ramadan to be able to do this. Even while you're memorizing, you should do this. Try to like double it. Whatever you're doing outside of Ramadan, you double it in Ramadan. But at least keeping that 5 juz. All right. When you get to 3 juz, read 6 juz. When you get to 4, read 8. When you get to 5, read 10. And that's it. Whatever you do and whatever you're doing outside of Ramadan, double it in Ramadan, inshallah. And it becomes easy. Trust me, it sounds like a lot now. Well, just get started with what you can get started with. If all you can get started with right now is just the last 3 juz. Juz called Samit, Juz Tabarak, Juz Amma. Read Juz called Samit one day, read Juz Tabarak one day, read Juz Amma the next day. 3 days. And then repeat. And then focus on memorizing Juz Amma. And then go to Juz Tabarak. Now, once you memorize Juz Tabarak, add 3 more juz. And then go from Surah to Fusilat and just keep working like that. Each person, they know their capabilities, they know their time restraints, they know their abilities. So they know what they can do. So you just look at what you're able to do and just get started. And start the same thing with Bulugh al-Maram. You don't have to start reading all of Bulugh al-Maram. You could just take, like, for example, like right now, I'm just going to focus on Kitab al-Tahara and Kitab al-Salat. So I'm going to break this up into like so many days, and I'm going to read Kitab al-Tahara, Kitab al-Salat, Kitab al-Tahara, and then start adding on to it. So you don't need to like read all of it, but take what you need, what you can do at that time, and just break it up. And like I said, you got 6 months that you're going to focus on the Quran, on the memorization, and 5 months that you're going to read the Quran, 5 months that you focus on Hadith with memorization, and 5 months that you just read. The 6 months, sorry. The 6 months that you're just reading the Hadith, reading it over and over. And that doesn't mean that you're only doing Bulugh al-Maram. You should still take Bukhari, Muslim, and read a little bit every single day. Like at least you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes every single day, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, every day. And, you know, try to finish at least one book of the Kutub al-Sitta every year. Every year. So, like, if you could sit down and read Bukhari the first year, read Sahih Muslim the second year, read Sunan Abi Dawood the third year, read Sunan al-Tirmidhi the fourth year, Sunan al-Nasa'i the fifth year, Sunan Ibn Majah the sixth year. Alhamdulillah, you know, now over 6 years, you should have memorized the majority of the Quran if you haven't finished it by now. And memorize the majority of Bulugh al-Maram if you haven't finished it by now, and you finish reading the Kutub al-Sitta. Beautiful. 6 years. 6 years. That's it. I mean, you're gonna, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you life in 6 years, you're gonna be here. That time's gonna pass regardless. But at least it passes with benefit. And on top of that, you know, the first year you take, like, I'm gonna read Tafsir al-Sa'di. The second year I'm gonna read Tafsir al-Ibn Kathir. The third year I'm gonna read Fath al-Qadir al-Shawkani. The fourth year I'm gonna read Adwal al-Bayan. And each year you take a different sharh of a, you know, so you're completing a lot. And over a 6 year period, wallahi, you will gather a lot. And if you take this with, you know, studying that you know, if you've already a student and you've already studied, then alhamdulillah, you continue doing muraja', going back to the durus of the ulama and listening to them. And, you know, but this is something that everybody can get started doing in America. Wherever you're at, just get started doing it. This is something that you can get started doing right now. Right now. Anybody can do it. You have the translations of Bulugh al-Maram for the people that don't know Arabic. So, you know, for the people that don't know Arabic, start at least Kitab al-Salat. Or start memorizing Al-Arba'in al-Nawawiyah. You know, not Bulugh al-Maram. If you don't know Arabic, don't start memorizing Bulugh al-Maram. Start with like Al-Arba'in al-Nawawiyah while you're memorizing, while you're learning the Arabic language and whatnot. And keep it going, akhi. But like, for the person who knows the Arabic, or at least got a decent understanding of the Arabic language, 6 years. 6 years, and you can finish, inshallah, you can finish the Quran. All you got to do is memorize 5 juz a year. And you can finish the Bulugh al-Maram. You know, in fact, you should probably finish Bulugh al-Maram before the Quran, you know, because it's much smaller. So probably the last 2 years, like let's say in 4 years, you should be done memorizing. On this schedule, you should be finished memorizing Bulugh al-Maram in 4 years. So you spend the last 2 years just memorizing the Quran only, focusing solely on the Quran and finishing up the Quran. 6 years. That's it. And you read the Kutub al-Sitta, you read all these books of tafsir, you read all these books of the explanation, and it doesn't take that much time. Wallahi, if you could dedicate at least, let's say 4 to 5 hours a day, 4 to 5 hours a day of your time to do this. Now this is, I'm talking about, this is serious study. Now, some people might say, well, that's a lot. All right, if you don't have that type of time, then just focus on one of those two things. Focus on the Quran. Just memorize the Quran. You know, just if you only got like maybe 2 hours a day, just focus on the Quran, because you're going to take like at least an hour just reading, and you're going to take another hour memorizing or more. So if you only have like 2-3 hours a day, the Quran. But if you have at least, like I say, about 4 or 5 hours a day that you can give, because you got 8 hours in a day while you're driving and stuff like that, you can always be reading, doing muraja of the Quran, doing muraja of Hadith. I do that when I'm washing dishes, when I'm cooking for the kids, or whatever. I'll you know, review Hadith, review Quran, whatever it is that I'm doing at the time. You know, you can utilize all that free time, like not the free time, but the time that you're not really doing anything. You're just doing some type of chore. Just review, revise, and keep reading it over and over and over and over again. When you're in the Quran, when you're in the car, listen to the Quran. Whatever you're memorizing, put it like just take that juz that you're memorizing and listen to it over and over and over and over again while you're memorizing it. Take al-Husari, you know, the al-Husari, and listen to it. Like al-Husari is the clearest and the best recitation, and as far as tajweed is concerned, al-Husari. Take that and listen to it, and just take that juz. What I would do is I take the surahs that are in that juz and combine them to make it one file, and put that file on repeat and just play it while I'm sleeping, if I go out to exercise or whatever, just play it. You know, when you're doing these chores or whatever, and you don't have maybe sometimes you have a headache, you don't feel like, you know, reading while you're cooking or cleaning or whatever. Put the Quran, put the headphones on and just listen, and keep listening to it over and over and over again. It helps a lot. And nowadays you can do the same thing with Bulugh al-Maram. You can download the audio of somebody reading Bulugh al-Maram, and you can just keep listening to it over and over. You can take that part that you're memorizing and just listen to it over and over and over again. So going to work, you can listen to the Quran. Coming back from work, you can listen to Bulugh al-Maram. You know, easy. When you're doing the chores in the house, you can listen to the Quran. When you're exercising, you can listen to Bulugh al-Maram, or vice versa. However you want to do it. So, alhamdulillah, you know, just utilize your time. 6-year period, wallahi, that's a lot. That's a lot. And wallahi, you know, you could get in 6 years just following this schedule. Probably, I mean, you would be Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah of America, basically, because most of the, I would say, like, I wouldn't say like most. I would say the vast majority, almost all of the dua have not done that. So because, you know, like I mentioned in a previous video that I did on social media about the setting the standards. And like we don't have any standards in America. You know, so you see the majority of the dua that go and they study it and you know, whether it's in Damaj or whether it's in Medina, you see the vast majority of the people that have not memorized the Quran and they have not memorized Bulugh al-Maram. The vast majority. And I mean, probably, I would say over 90%. 90% of the students in the West, because of the Indonesians and the other brothers like the Arabs, and they memorize that stuff, man. They memorize the Quran, they memorize Bulugh al-Maram, Lu'lu' al-Marajan, Riyadh al-Salihin. They memorize, but us, nah. So I mean, if you were to stick by this plan for 6 years, you would definitely, alhamdulillah, you would definitely have more than 90% of the students of knowledge in America. Forget the whole people of America. I mean, you be in that like 0.5 percentile. You'll be in that little 0.5%, because if you compare it to all the people in America as far as knowledge wise concerned, you'd be at the top in this program, inshallah. So yeah, look at what you can do. You know, break it down and see what you can do on a daily basis. And you know, like I said, this is just advice. This is my opinion. You modify it to whatever suits you and whatever fits you. Yeah, Allahul Muwaffaq. Just continue to make dua. That's the most important thing. You know, and, to constantly pray and make dua. Make dua. When you're in sujood, whatever you're trying to do, you're trying to memorize Quran, make dua for it. You're trying to make, you know, and don't just stop making dua, you know, because it got easier. Just keep making dua. Just keep making dua. Keep asking for it until you're done. And when you're done, keep making dua till you die, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps you keep it. You know, because even keeping it is only by the tawfiq of Allah. Wa ila hamna subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.